We had to restart. Hopefully, everyone that was on the last live that was 13 minutes long can jump on this one. That's unfortunate. Let me know if you can hear me. If not, it might be my mic. We will have to wait for people to confirm. But if you're new here, hi, my name is Allie. I'm a tarot reader and intuitive coach for the last 6 years. I'm not new to YouTube, but technically still a newbie. Been on here for like a few years now, mostly doing lives and shorts. Hey, can you hear me good? Is it better? I don't know what happened. Hello, hello. Sound, testing. Katarina, is she gonna come back? If this doesn't work, then it's the mic. Okay. That's annoying. I'm having a hard time breathing because of everything that's going on with my unit. Goodness gracious. Okay. We're just gonna wait for people to enter the room. We were already into it 13 minutes in. Unfortunately, I did delete the live. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. Whatever. It sucks because we were channeling random things. We were talking about my experience with feeding a squirrel. Basically, I got bit by a squirrel and I went down this rabbit hole that had me psychologically processing other things that I'm going through in my life in regards to self-worth, reciprocity, and connections and whatnot and whatnot. But it actually started with the cards that we got for the guidance, and one of them was the seed. So I guess I could see how that's interconnected, right? And the card basically, in summary, talks about new beginnings. We also got into the card of the mountain. Um, and I feel like that one, let's reread that one. Because we have also the healer Eros, the vow, and the nectar. I'm really excited to talk about the Eros card because I feel like that does come out a lot in people's love readings when I read for my clients. Even if they don't get that card, sometimes I will pinpoint towards that area in their birth chart. So, one moment. Dun, 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 dun. Love is pain. There is some pain with love, yes, I would agree. So, the mountain stands eternally in our awareness, calling us toward its peak. It stirs up stoic and regal feelings, reminding us of the long line of spirits, sages, and gods that made their humble thrones within its snowy peaks. Beware, though, as the mountain can affect us in two ways. It can inspire and enliven us to rise to its new heights and peak experience. Yet it can also create isolation, competitiveness, and an inflation sense of self. Standing upon its heights can activate the purist and the perfectionist in us, creating separation from those we deem to be below. No matter how high you ascend, remember that it is within the core of the mountain that the gems, minerals, and jewels reside. If you think it's all about going up, you're following the fool's path and missing the miner's magic. And then we also got into the topic of what my mentor Miriam has mentioned many times, because it also comes up in my birth chart. And let's just talk about it because I'm going through a lot of 12th house hidden hater stuff. And I just want them to know that Although I do get lucky, I'll admit that I have a lot of luck in my birth chart. There is a humbling that happens. There is a humbling that has to happen. Okay, there is a balance. Also, there's karmic repercussions if you mess with the 12th houser, just saying. And I don't even have to do anything about it. It's a spiritual karmic thing. So if you mess with me, just saying, it's all your fault. And in some ways, I can be my own worst hidden enemy because of my own ego getting in the way. Like, I want things a certain way, a certain outcome. Like, for example, some of the things that I'm going through, some of it is the consequences of some decisions that I made, but some of those decisions I made were also due to, I guess, giving up my power, but withholding information has been a thing with the people I've been dealing with. And that, creates an illusion, that you're basically taking away someone's free will to make a choice for themselves, which is not good. It's not good. I want to say evil. It's manipulative, right? And thinking that you're above all, like, I think a common thing that we're seeing in just like the collective patterns, especially in America where I live, right? Everybody argues over who's right, who has the highest morale. And we're kind of getting to the point where we see some people just straight up don't care and will do it right in front of your face. And the fact that they are doing it openly almost gives them permission, or we're allowing it in some way, but it's a shock to the system. And so it is a call, it is a spiritual humbling. Yes, I do private readings. Someone from the live yesterday on the free questions live stream just booked one, and I got to her this morning. That was cool. But yeah, go ahead, check out my links. I just updated the website. There's the intuitive check-in, in-depth reading, pre-recorded videos where I send you a private YouTube link that you can rewatch, which is cool, depending what kind of person you are. If you like the emailed written, if you like the videos, make it feel like you're having your own personal live one-on-one session with me. Um, yeah. And I created the intuitive check-in tier because a lot of the times people will just like have like a simple one thing question. And it comes from my Gemini trait. So I have a lot of passerbys, is how I would describe it. Like, I don't know if I'll see you again. Maybe. I mean, I always, when I say always, I have a good return of clients. Usually people come back. I never have to worry about that. So I also sent her a discount code for future use. Anyway, we also have the healer, the vow, the nectar, and Eros. So let's get into the healer. Katerina, I feel like a lot of people don't really care about morals. They just want to seem righteous and not get attacked for not agreeing with the collective opinion. I would agree. I would agree. It's a mask. Rather hear your voice. Well, then a pre recorded video would be better for you. The healer. Everybody talks about my voice. It's taken me a long time to feel comfortable with that, you guys. I hear that's very common with most people, though. All right, the healer. Though some claim the work of the healer as their gift and name it as their dharma, the force of this archetype is within everyone. It is our natural inclination to remember, to return to, and to reclaim that central and eternal life force from which we so easily drift away. In Sanskrit, the word avidya means forgetting, and it is said that this is the source of all suffering and disease. The healer's mission then becomes to move through the comfort of forgetting, through the veils of ignorance and denial, to reveal the radiance already exists. The healer approaches this in many multiple ways, from multiple angles, knowing the cycle of healing is not linear. It is multi-layered and can never pronounce that word. Circuitous. So that's not like how I would word it, and it always throws me off. Process, always leading back to its own origin, much like Ouroboros. So when in light, self-centered, no, that's in dark. When light, self-contained, grateful and awake. When dark, self-centered, needy, tired, forgetting its own practice. The wounded healer is not someone who is wounded and is now healed. It is someone who continues to courageously break open the self and ego as a means for deep integration. Yes, I would agree. It's constant, constant. Oh, this is going to be such a great channeled message, you guys, because it's basically giving you the key. All you people that got love readings, here you go. This puts out like most my first in-depth readings, like if you were like a client that just walked in and you were having love issues and you got the in-depth reading, emailed reading, this is probably the kind of reading that you would get. The vow. The vow. One second. Well, I did see that one, but it's not the one I want right now. I also heard many opportunities because a lot of the cards that came out, some of them are places or archetypes, or they're almost like tools, things. And so that usually tells me that there's going to be opportunities coming up for you to utilize those tools, right? So the vow, as we know, is a promise, an oath, and a contract. When the vow is spoken, the air shifts, karmic ties are formed, and destiny tilts on its axis. Our words and intentions have immense power. There is a reason the great mythic stories of our past often include the recitation of oaths and the mixing of drops of blood as a mark of union. The tricky part is that reciting the vow, no matter how casually, activates the eternal and unseen forces of the world. The ancestors bear witness. The laws of nature respond. These promises cannot be unsaid or forgotten, so breaking them can leave lingering complexities and loose ends. This card calls us to acknowledge the vow we are living by, consciously or unconsciously, and either recommit to it or create a ritual that signifies its closure. You've been underestimating the power of your promise. The nectar. In Hindu mythology, this miraculous substance known as amrit or nectar that contains infinite healing power. This golden nectar or sacred elixir is the drink of immorality, and like its sister substance, soma, is known to activate subtle, intelligent forces that ease the mind, body, and spirit. Though esoteric, sorry, these images lead us to the central energy of this archetype, the sweet, potent, heavenly essence that lubricates our spirit back to life. This is a call to identify and relish in places, practices, people, and activities that regenerate and heal. Medicine is needed, and it comes in subtle form that you may be overlooking. In subtle form that you may be overlooking. Double tap to like the video so I know that you heard me. Because sometimes I feel like I'll like ramble and say information and it goes over people's heads. And I'm like, that's why pre recorded videos are really good because you'll get to re listen and you might hear it differently as time goes on or read it differently. But I also, it comes from my Mercury again. It is my voice, you guys. Some people are not meant to hear me. I have a Cassandra curse. So my audience is very specific. There we go. Now I know you heard me. Seek the most fragrant flower in the garden you have forgotten. Don't underestimate this remedy. It is said when someone has activated the substance within, it is reflected in their shimmering eyes. How beautiful. I think that's true because when I've gotten this card, I felt like I did have like a regeneration of the soul, especially when I followed its guidance. All right. Now we're getting to the nitty gritty, my favorite, Eros. Let's talk about him. Love as desire, eroticism, and sensuality. Does anybody know the story of Psyche and Eros in Greek mythology? Let's see. My students in the chat. Students in the chat, please reply. Anyone heard of that story? As you guys are Googling, as you guys are doing your research, you don't know it. I heard something about it way back. It's an important one. Pay attention because it does reflect in twin flame dynamics. Let me just say. So, though Eros can be depicted as brittled sexuality and eroticism, a more contemplative understanding of this archetypal energy leads us to the root of desire itself. What do we long for? Why are we awakened by love? What makes us hesitate in the face of intimacy? Eros reconnects us with primal longing to merge with another human being, nature, music, art, plants, food, or anything that we perceive we are separate from. Eros allows us to momentarily unite. Our heart embraces otherness, and in doing so, we further understand our own. Our life awakens us. This is a call to inevitable initiation into love's labyrinth. You may find yourself swirling in a new territory of desire and sensuality. Explore the labyrinth with a curious and honest heart. And remember, though the way is circuitous, the word I can never pronounce, you are always being led towards its center. Yeah. When light, passion, playfulness, and sexual health. When dark, madness, projection, and obsession. Oh man. The story of Psyche and Eros. Let's dig into it. One of my recent new clients, she also got this message, and it's funny because that's something that I've worked on in the last couple years myself. Isn't that funny? Eros and Psyche. So, I like to share little pieces of my journey. Okay, who is Eros? Eros is the fairest among the deathless gods, quote unquote, was also one of the most feared ones. And how could he not be? Even a single one of his arrows was enough to unnerve the limbs and overcome the mind of any god or mortal. However, this is not one of the numerous stories in which his arrows lead to someone's everlasting happiness or another's eternal doom. This is a story of how Eros himself once fell in love with someone, and how that someone was willing to do anything not to lose him. Often read as a allegory of the soul's turbulent journey through life's turns towards a mystic union with the divine after death. Eros and Psyche is one of the very few fairy tales that have reached us from the ancient world. It is undoubtedly the most beautiful one. It is one of my favorite ones, you guys. I wrote a poem about it. If you're on Instagram, I don't know if I still have it public. I have it archived. I might share it again. But I do share a lot of my poetry, my writings, and my spiritual journey stuff more in depth on Patreon. If that's something that you're interested in, go and join the Soul Fam, because eventually that's where I'm going to put my extended reading videos as well. We will be doing that. All right, let's talk about this love story. Do we really want to read the whole thing, or do you guys want me to summarize in the best way I know possible? Because you can do your own research. Psyche and Eros basically go through a bunch of tests to find their way back to each other and to create a real union. Um, so the other ones that are associated with the story that would be useful to look at your birth chart, you can see these placements in your birth chart, you guys. Just FYI. And if you're one of my intuitive coaching clients, I do teach you on how to do that for yourself. If you want, it's not something that I market as part of the program, but I'm a big believer in shadow work and self study for manifesting. So, Aphrodite, Persephone, Eros, and Psyche are the main people in this love story. Is your Instagram and your description? Yes. My link tree should have my Instagram as well as my other platforms. I know there's more messages. You'll follow me later. Really? Go ahead. I'm not on there that much anymore, but it's there. Okay. Let's see. What kind of other messages do we have? Istanbul? I don't think I've ever heard of that word before. Okay, let's talk about it. Istanbul. Am I even pronouncing that right? Watch me say it like a million times wrong. This is very long. Oh, I see why it wanted me to pick this. It basically talks about a labyrinth. Really? Is that necessary? I really appreciate this live. I was so bored and I can't hang out with anyone, so this feels nice. Thank you. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's kind of how I wanted it to feel like. Low pressure, just kind of hang out, listen while you're doing other things. Sometimes people listen to me while they're at work. Like, say you got an office job and you're someone that like has your headphones, or you're doing IT, those kind of people. People like to listen to podcasts and whatnot. Okay. Maturity. Let's do this one. Because this does relate to the Eros and Psyche story, because it's about not just immature love, it's love that creates union and develops and grows, right? It's about choosing yourself and each other. So, maturity is the ability to live fully and equally in multiple contexts, mostly, especially, the ability, despite our many griefs and losses, to courageously inhabit the past, the present, and the future all at once. The wisdom that comes from maturity is recognized through a disciplined refusal to choose between or isolate three powerful dynamics that form human identity: what has happened, what only looks as if it is happening now, and what is about to occur. Immaturity is shown by making false choices, living only in the past, or only in the present, or only in the future, and even living only two out of the three. Maturity is not a static arrived platform, a golden epoch. What does that mean? From where life is viewed from a claim, untouched oasis of wisdom, but the disillusion of living elemental frontiers between what has happened and what is happening now, and the consequences of our past, first imagined anew and then lived into the waiting future. I'm outside in the yard right now. Maturity is the breakdown of elemental frontiers between different epochs in our life. Why am I not saying that right? I'm like trying to sound it out differently in my head, and it's not. Between life and death, between the part of us that has been a fine, it says a fine. That doesn't sound right. Is that correct? Okay, sorry, back to it. Between the part of us that has been fine, upstanding citizen, and the darker, helpless parts of us that have caused harm and damage. Maturity is the time when these tidal forces meet and break apart our life, making one life out of our regrets, our self compassion, and our forgiveness, forged into a future made real by a radical change in our behavior. Real maturity can only be sustained by real silence, by a daily discipline of silence and an inhibition of spaciousness, a foundation of giving away. Maturity is the discipline of giving up and giving away to see what is left and what is real. Maturity calls us to risk ourselves as much as we did in our immaturity, but for a bigger picture, a larger horizon, for a powerfully generous outward incarnation of our inward qualities, and not for gains that make us smaller even in the winning. Sorry, I got distracted. Someone was texting me. Hopefully, that did not disrupt the live. Our previous stage of immaturity always beckons, offering a false haven and false accounting. It creates an insafety in one state or the other, a hiding place and disappearance in the past, a false isolation of the present, or an unobtainable sure prediction of the future. But maturity beckons also, asking us to be larger, more fluid, more elemental, less cornered, less unilateral, a living conversation, intuition between the inherited story, the one we are privileged to inhibit, and the one, if we are large enough and broad enough, movable enough, and even here enough, just astonishingly might to occur. Interesting. First time I've read that page, I believe. And apparently I stuck a tarot card in there from the last time that I've used it, and it was one of my spirit animal cards, and it's of the oyster. That's so funny. I do that a lot, you guys. My tarot cards will end up in my books. All right, let's more advice on this Eros and Psyche situation. Hmm. Wow. Wow. All right. Loving communion. To ensure human survival everywhere in the world, females and males organize themselves into communities. Communities sustain life, not nuclear families or the couple, and certainly not the rugged individualist. There is no better place to learn the art of loving than in community. In and through community lies the salvation of the world. Peck defines community as the coming together of a group of individuals who have learned how to communicate honestly with each other, whose relationships go deeper than their masks of composure, and who have developed more significant commitment to rejoice together, mourn together, and to delight in each other and make others' conditions our own. We are all born into the world of community. Rarely, if ever, does a child come into the world in isolation with only one or two onlookers. Children are born into a world surrounded by the possibility of communities. Families, doctors, nurses, midwives, and even admiring strangers comprise this field of connections, some more intimate than others. Much of the talk about family values in our society highlights the nuclear family, one that is made up of mother, father, and preferably one or two children. In the United States, this unit is presented as the primary and preferable organization for the parenting of children, one that will ensure everyone's optimal well being. Of course, this is a fantasy image of family. Hardly anyone in our society lives in an environment like this. Even individuals who are raised in nuclear families usually experience it as merely a small unit within a larger unit of extended kin. Capitalism and patriarchy together, as structures of domination, have worked over time to undermine and destroy this larger unit of extended kin, replacing the family community with a more privatized, small, aut- autocratic unit, helped increase alienation and made abuses of power more possible. It gave absolute rule to the father and secondary rule over children to the mother. By encouraging the segregation of nuclear families from the extended family, women were forced to become more dependent on an individual man and children more dependent on an individual woman. It is this dependency that became and is the breeding ground for abuses of power. The failure of the patriarchal nuclear family has been utterly documented, exposed as dysfunctional more often than not, as a place of emotional chaos, neglect, and abuse. Only those in denial continue to insist that this is not the best environment for raising children, or that this is the best environment for raising children. While I do not want to suggest that extended families are not as likely to be dysfunctional, simply by virtue of their size and their inclusion of non blood kin, i.e., individuals who marry into the family and their blood relations. They are diverse and so are likely to include the presence of some individuals who are both sane and loving. Interesting. All right. So, a lot about community. That is important. Um, you know, I guess I guess we can talk about it, right? Do I really want to get into all of that? I don't know. I found that like the influence of my families and community were huge in my relationships, the failed ones, whether it was negative or positive. Um, I still am trying to build that sense of community. It's difficult. It's very difficult. I think my spirit animal is a hedgehog. The story behind it is kind of dark though. That's okay. Sometimes it be like that. All right. Any solutions here? Oh, the recommendation, a divination dream pillow. Divining the future or things unseen by magic means like crystal balls and tarot cards is called divination. Your dreams are naturally a powerful form of divination, and this ritual can help you recall and understand more of them. Dream pillows are a type of magic that can heighten your dream state intuition, encouraging you to dream of certain things or events and make sure you're able to recall more of your dreams the next day. Recommend getting a dream journal. If you don't, I definitely do. So what you will need for your divination dream pillow is a small purple drawstring bag or purple fabric, thread and needle optional, your dream journal and pen, cotton balls or batting, dried chamomile, lavender, and jasmine flowers, jasmine, chamomile, and lavender and essential oils, a tea ball cup, and candles optional. All right, so some steps. Are you guys big dreamers? I dream a lot. I have lots of dreams. I've had lots of premonitions. They are things that have happened, and it's always been a thing in my life ever since I was little. If you're curious about my spiritual awakening story and how I became a reader, go check out the side quest playlist, Soul Detours. But I've done rituals like this many times, you guys. So much so I don't really need to, but sometimes I stick a specific crystal under my pillow to see how it goes. Recommend that too. Another fellow witch actually recommended that to me. You know what's crazy? Is we met each other before we got very spiritual. Both of us did. So it's like we recrossed paths later down the line. You don't? You don't? I dream, but I don't know if it means anything. Yes. You if you didn't know, you can also utilize the readings, the services, probably an in-depth reading or pre-recorded would be best for something like that to interpret your dreams if you wanted to. Um, Depending if like you're that kind of person. Like if you feel like there's a message there, there probably is, right? All right, so these are the steps or suggested. Set aside a Monday night to create your divination pillow, as Mondays are associated with the moon and dreams. Really? Gather your tools on your altar space and light some candles to create a cozy and comfortable atmosphere if you like. If you're sewing your pillow, start by sewing up 3 of the sides to make a little bag. Open your journal or your fresh page and write down anything you want to dream about or a problem in which you'd like some clarity. You might want to ask about a relationship or a job. Start filling your pillow with the cotton when you're ready, but stop when it's half full. Grab a pinch of the 3 herbs: chamomile for peaceful sleep and protection from nightmares, lavender for relaxation and opening the third eye, and jasmine for its connection to the dreamy magic of Neptune, and add them to the pillow. These flowers aren't just good for dream and magic, each has a fragrance that helps you fall asleep and feel relaxed. Add 2 drops of each essential oil to a piece of cotton and add that to the bag as well. Tear the page from your journal with your dream intentions on it and fold it small and add it to the pillow before filling it the rest of the way with cotton and closing up the end. Place your dream pillow underneath your physical pillow and let the scents and energies of the flowers lull you into psychic dreams. Optional. These 3 flowers can also be brewed into herbal tea, and together they can make the perfect cup of sleepy time comfort. Add equal parts of each flower to a tea ball and steep the flower mixture in hot water for 2 minutes. Drink it before bed to help engage all the senses in your dream magic. Yes. I also, you guys, I have a file on Patreon called Kitchen Witch Magic. If you're not interested in a subscription, I also sell those files individually, but I have my own tea blends and recipes. I love tea. Yes, I do tea magic as well. So, for those that are interested in, let me know how that goes if you end up doing it. Katerina, I think one of my dreams was something about my mother, but I don't know. It was just my subconscious or an actual message. Your subconscious, hun, is giving you messages all the time. That is a message. I would try to journal that one out. Get back to me on that one. It might be good for an in-depth reading. Oh no! I need to be more careful. I was like tossing up my crystal, playing with it like a fidget. Sorry, I'm like staring at a story of Psyche and Eros. Okay, let's just talk about the trials of Psyche real quick. Do they go into Eros? Well, they get into the union. Okay. So, the trials of Psyche. First task was sorting out a heap of grains. Second task, gathering golden wool. Third task, fetching a jar of water. Fourth task, the underworld. Then it goes into the reunion of Eros and Psyche, the curse of the box, and then the arrival of Eros. So usually I walk my clients through um, the trials of Psyche and Eros because in some weird ways you might see some reflections in your love story in connection to this. It's not going to be like literally you sorting out heaps of grain, okay? It's going to be completely psychological. So think of, Greek mythology as a metaphor to what you're going through. So let's read out the heap of grains. Aphrodite took a great quantity of wheat, barley, millet, poppy seed, peas, lentils, and beans and mingled them all together in a heap. Psyche's task was to sort out the seeds into separate heaps within a single day. Not knowing even where to begin, Psyche started crying. Fortunately, an ant heard her and felt sorry for her, so she quickly rounded up all the ants of the country and they all came, helping Psyche finish the job. Psyche finish the job just in time. Interesting, right? One could say that Psyche leaned into yin energy to achieve that, which is divine feminine energy, right? Aw, that's kind of sweet, isn't it? Yeah. Second task, gathering the golden wool. Next, Aphrodite tasked Psyche with gathering the golden wool from a nearby flock of murderous sheep with sharp horns. This time, a divinely inspired green reed advised her, through the sounds of a gracious melody, to await until the sheep fell asleep in the heat of the afternoon, and only then gather the locks of their golden fleeces hanging upon the nearby briar of bushes. Psyche followed the advice and brought Aphrodite a lapful of golden wool, but the goddess was still not impressed. Aphrodite is a bee. She really is. Third task, fetching a jar of Stygian water. Okay, I could be saying some of this wrong. Aphrodite's third task was even more complicated. Psyche had to fill a jar with the waters from the black and deadly river Styx, part of which flowed at the top of the distant mountain. Psyche went to much trouble to merely get to the place, only to find that on each side of the river there lay a great never sleeping dragon, appointed to keep the water safe. Psyche froze with fear and was so out of the mind that she wasn't even able to cry anymore. Seeing her there and remembering that he owed a favor to Eros, Zeus's eagle, suddenly flew down from the clouds and snatched Psyche's jar out of her hands. Then he filled it to the top with the waters of Styx and brought it back to the maiden. Psyche joyfully returned to Aphrodite and ecstatically presented her with the jar. Aphrodite, however, had something else on her mind, the fourth and final task. Gosh, you guys, sorry. It won't always be like this. I cannot breathe. Okay, fourth task, the underworld. Appropriately, this one surpassed by far all the others in the degree of difficulty. Namely, this time Psyche was supposed to go to the underworld and ask from Persephone a day's worth of her beauty, pack it in a box, and quickly bring the box back to Aphrodite. Reasoning that the only way for her to visit Hades was by dying, the despairing Psyche went up one higher tower with the intention of throwing herself headlong into hell. However, inspired by divine providence, the tower revealed to her a better way. And more or less, Psyche did everything the tower told her to. First, she went to the hill Taenarus in the Peloponnese, where she found a hole leading to Hades. However, she didn't go there with empty hands, taking with her 2 coins and 2 pieces of bread soaked in barley and honey. She used the first coin to pay Charon for her fare across the Styx, and the first bread to mellow Cerberus. Kerberos? Kerberos. Okay. Cerberus? Maybe Cerberus. And be allowed to enter the palace of Hades. There she found Persephone and, following the tower's advice, rejected all her fine meals, asking instead for a crust of brown bread and flavor or favor. After being granted the latter one, Psyche fetched a little of Persephone's beauty and returned it to the land of the living, bribing Cerberus. I'm like staring at it. I'm like, am I saying that right? With her second bread and paying off Sharon with her last coin. That was so funny. Oh man. All right, we might as well read the end, right? The reunion of Eros and Psyche, the curse of the box. However, as it usually happens, she disobeyed the very last instruction, just like Pandora has done once with her jar. Psyche too opened the box of Persephone. This time, though, the act was neither out of curiosity nor out of spite. Psyche had merely hoped that a dash of divine beauty should help her win back the love of Eros. However, she could perceive no beauty nor anything else save only an infernal and deadly sleep, which immediately invaded all her members as soon as the box was uncovered, and such sort that she fell down on the ground and lay there as a sleeping corpse. The arrival of Eros. Eros, who could bear neither the sight nor the absence of Psyche anymore, secretly flew out through a window of his chamber, and upon reaching Psyche, wiped away the cloud of sleep from her face and put its essence back in the box. Then lifted his beloved wife into the air, and Psyche was able to bring her present to Aphrodite just in time. Not wishing to see her tortured any more, Eros immediately went to Zeus and begged him for approval. Zeus consented and made Psyche immortal by giving her ambrosia, not only so that she and Eros may be united in marriage as equals, but also so that Aphrodite may finally be appeased. In due time, Psyche's baby was born. It was a healthy daughter whom the couple married and named Voluptus. Voluptus. Fittingly, when she grew up, she became the goddess of pleasure. Wow. What did you guys think of that? It's an interesting story, right? That was interesting, right? Oh, Nancy just emailed me. Nancy, get on the live. Did I catch a cold? No. No, I've been going through an interesting situation with my unit, with the place that I live. It's very common in Washington to have mold issues. Um, I don't really, as of right now, I'm not going to bring it up on YouTube, but if it starts escalating and getting worse, we might start talking about it on YouTube. But to be continued. Me too. Me too. Thank you, though. Yeah, it wasn't this bad until we got here. We've been through a bunch of maintenance issues, getting like things cleaned, but it's only going so far. So, if you guys didn't know, my my career was housing, but this whole situation has made me completely walk away because there's a lot of corruption. So we will get into that at a later date. Um, I did a little bit of a mix of, what I do here as well as my housing career. And there was a time where I did do tarot just full time, but I was wanting to see how my tarot business and my art and my housing career could merge one day. And I thought I could trust this person, and she completely betrayed me in multiple ways, in ways that you would never believe. But it's a hard lesson that I had to take. Um, and in some ways, I took some old lessons from previous dynamics that are very similar to this. And I feel like I have grown and matured a lot. And like, if I would have never experienced the other things like that I would probably be in a worse spot right now. And so in some ways, it's reflected how far I've come in my growth, and also that I don't freaking need anyone to achieve this dream of mine, okay? Not anyone's money, not a sponsor, not someone that thinks that they know what's best for me, but instead wants to control the narrative and control me and my gifts and put me in a box. That's what I think she was trying to do, to be honest. Um, and it kind of makes me think a little bit of the story of Eros and Psyche. I was just telling my friend the other day is very similar to the movie Thumbelina. Have you ever heard of that movie? In the way there are trials and tribulations and external people and forces that are like that get in the way of a dream, whether it's a person or, you know, creating something. Well, let's talk about that too with twin flame dynamics, because I would agree with Miriam's interpretation as well that twin flame dynamics aren't just about union, it's about creating something. And it could be a baby, but it's bigger than that. I mean, what's bigger than a baby, really? It's life. It is creating life. But, who knows what that child is going to create, discover, and bring to the world, the impact that they can create. So, yes, it could be a child, but it's usually some kind of tool or something for the collective. Like, for example, creating a school for kids with disabilities. That would be a twin flame dynamic, is meeting someone and knowing that you have a mission. Katerina, I feel your pain as I'm going through issues in my living space too. Yes, yes, I told you that I relate a lot to it. Yes. I have a lot of experience in this kind of stuff. So it's interesting. Like, I even went on in my childhood. And so I've been thinking about that a lot too. I'm like, man, if I wouldn't have like been through stuff like that, I wouldn't know like how to handle this. But I do now, and I'm fighting for the little kid that was not taken care of and neglected. I can show it for myself. Heard of it, never seen it though. Oh, you can watch it on YouTube for free. There's a free version out there. It's about an hour long. It's really good if you like cartoons, if you like that nostalgic feeling, but it will also kind of give you a fun interpretation of Eros and Psyche. So, give you something else to do. Proud of you. Thank you so much. I'm proud of me too. I'm proud of me too. And right back at you because I know that you will do the same, right? We can only keep going. The will and the fight to survive as a human being is strong. It is strong. Well, thank you guys for hanging out with me. I hope that was helpful for you. Please let me know how it goes in the comments. And if you're in need of an in depth personal reading, go ahead and check out my links. But until next time, bye.